I was, as I told you here just a short while ago, I had not looked at oil prices. Uh, I don't know, maybe in a month. I hadn't actually looked, and then I was gone on spring break, and I come back. I look at oil prices, $61 for West Texas Intermediate, Brent crude at $64. RT Trevino, oil and gas expert. He runs Pecos Country Energy. He's joining me now to talk more about energy prices. RT, nice to see you again. Energy prices down like this, good for America, not great for energy companies necessarily, but I mean, I didn't realize they had gone that low. What can you tell me?
Yes, welcome back, and welcome to hopefully lower gas prices when you get back from your spring break there, Steve.
Yeah.
Right now, as we can tell here, it is great for America. That's the crude truth. We're very excited to see how this economy can only continue to grow. Here, and there's no doubt about it. In the last 2 weeks, we've definitely had a significant drop in the price of West Texas Intermediate and also Brent prices as well, which are the overseas and OPEC prices that we base things off of. In the short term, let's see how this rides out. But right now, the key thing that we're watching is OPEC more than the tariffs. Right now, OPEC is trying to clean house. As we've discussed in the past, they are going to be adding an additional 2 million barrels of oil to the market. However, that's strategically paced over the next 18 to 24 months.
So, all right. So, look, there's a point here. I remember when Dick Cheney said this a long time ago. He said, look, when oil's too cheap, it's bad for America because it basically there's no money to be made by people like yourself or whomever, right? And so there's a point where you're limited on your returns. But right now at West Texas Intermediate just below $61, Brent crude at about 64.5. Is there a point there where it is too low?
I have heard a lot of people talk about the break-even point right now, and that is real. And the break-even point is really where, obviously, you make sure that your employees are paid and your expenses are paid. Everything above that is a profit. So we are watching that, and us small operators here in the great state of Texas, we do like to think we can weather the storm a little bit better because we do know that the price of oil will go back up at some point. However, right now, this $60 is still nothing to panic about. Yesterday and the day before, we did touch 50 over the weekend, which was definitely something we hadn't seen in a while. However, again, I want to just focus on the positives that right now with these lower gas prices, we're going to see transportation costs come down across America. And that's really exciting. You mentioned spring break in the beginning here. We're already past spring break, and we already have projected larger numbers of people that are going to be driving during the summer this year. So we can only expect an increase, which then we could expect an increase in just the positive, goodness that'll bring to the economy.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Look, energy prices impact everything. It's not just the cost of going on spring break or traveling this summer. It's the cost of tomatoes and potatoes. I mean, all of these things are impacted by the price of energy. Your electric bill, your gas bill, your grocery bill, the cost of going to work. Everything is interrelated when it comes to the price of these things. So what I'm getting at is, right now the projection is for 0.1% increase of inflation in March, which means we're below 2% for the year. Inflation's gone. If these energy prices hold, which it looks like they're going to, inflation's gone. It's good for the American economy.
Yes, absolutely. And again, I'm glad you brought up inflation. It's amazing how much of a correlation there is between the price of energy and inflation. Let's just go back 3 years when inflation hit record highs, and all of a sudden the Biden administration quit talking about trying to kill the energy industry overnight because they know how important the oil and gas industry is to inflation, and they tie very much together. And again, what we're going to be looking at here also is what's going to happen with Iran. We know that President Trump has talked very stern about Iran, and we do expect more sanctions to come on Iran for them to produce oil, along with Venezuela. So when those sanctions come into place and when he does put them on, we'll expect somewhere between 2 to 4 million barrels come off the market. And then that 2 million barrels that OPEC will be putting on will obviously then have really no effect. We should see the price of oil continue to just stay between that $65 to $75 price that we do anticipate. And I use that anticipate word very, very carefully this morning to see here over the next several months.
Yeah, so if it stays in that $65 to $75 range, that's good for everybody. The oil companies make money. They're hiring. They're prosperous. More money in the pocket of the working man and woman in America, the middle class. Everybody wins, don't they?
Yes, absolutely. That sweet spot for all of us producers, even the majors, is at $75 oil. If we can really keep that $75 price, we're really looking at, again, the economy thriving, us being energy independent and energy strong. Speaking of that, I do expect that during this time of lower prices, this administration to work with all the majors and all the smaller companies to fill up the strategic petroleum reserve. But again, at that $75 price, we could have our strategic petroleum reserve back up and have real energy security again, because there's no national security without energy security.
Right. So, which brings me back, before I let you go here today, RT, OPEC accelerating production. Look, this is odd to me because, look, OPEC usually wants to drive the price up. By doing this, even if it's over 18 months, they're going to keep that price down, lower. Why are they doing it?
A great question. I actually wrote an article about this in a Substack I have called the Crude Truth Substack. OPEC right now has some infighting. They are cleaning house right now. Even though they're announcing this increase over the next 18 months, they have several countries that are producing more than they were assigned or agreed to do. So OPEC, i.e. the leader, Saudi Aramco, is saying, hey, if you're not going to produce the amount of oil that we're going to tell you to produce, we will go ahead and basically motivate them financially to cut production. So it really kind of happened at a perfect storm, if you will, of the president's tariffs, along with this cut and this infighting in OPEC. Because if you've noticed during our segment today, I have not even talked about the tariffs and how they truly do not have an effect on the price of oil other than just the modern Wall Street uncertainty of tariffs. So right now, OPEC is trying to just clean house themselves to get their countries to fall back in line so that they can just continue to produce, because they understand that if they flood the market, which a true flood the market is what they did in 2014, Steve, 2015, when they tried to kill the shell industry here in America, which they did not. But when they did that, they actually hurt themselves financially. And Saudi Aramco, more importantly, can't afford to do that this time around.
Yeah. Look, right now, by the way, the market's RT all flashing green. Looks like the Dow's going to open up 700 to 800 points higher. The tariffs, not a big concern here today as we bounce back quickly, it seems. RT Trevino, always appreciate you being here, sir.
Thank you, sir. Have a great one.
You too. There you have it. All right, so $65 to $75. A little below that right now. Not at a panic point, he says, but a place a little less than they'd like it to be. $61 to $65 right now. They'd like to get to $65 to $75. So we'll see how that works out. And we'll keep an eye on it. But right now, I know one thing. It's good for you. It's good for America. This is the Steve Gruber Show.